estate. And that is what we are going to be having a conversation on today: the psychology to which wealthy people buy, or the psychology to which a lot of investors being people who understands real estate investments. So what's the psychology? What goes on in their mind when they try to buy? And what are the things they consider before buying? Because eventually what happens is that over a period of time, they invest right. And after investing right, they reap the rewards of their investment. This is the discussion we are going to be having today. Welcome to another live session with me. My name is Esther, and I am here to help you understand how a lot of investors buy properties. So if you're seeing me for the first time, welcome. I am Esther, like I said earlier on, and I help you buy safe, profitable real estate here in Abuja. And I would like to know where you're watching me from and to connect with you. Okay, so if you've already seen me, known me, thank you for watching or stopping by. I would like to also hear from you. Okay, without wasting much of your time, let's dive right into this topic. This topic is super dear to my heart because sometimes when people do things, you want to understand why they do it. And when you eventually understand why they do it, it will help you to know how to channel or go your own way. If you study the market, if you study people who invest, you understand that there are things they pay attention to. There are things they understand. There are things they know. Okay? I don't know how to explain this. If you're a newbie, you may not get what I'm saying. But in every profession, in any business, there's always something, there's always a knowledge that stands you out. And most times, when you've done things over and over again, you will now master the act of constantly and successfully doing it. And that is all we are talking about in today's live session. Okay, so let's just dive right into the point, which is the first thing I'm talking about: how the psychology to which smart buyers or smart investors invest is: one, they buy for the future, not just because of today. That's one of the things that stands out a lot of smart buyers when they invest. They are not buying because of how they feel, they're not buying because of what they see. They are buying for the future. And it doesn't make sense if you look at it with the normal eye. You want to buy for today. You want to buy, look at what you are seeing and buy it. But they don't look at it and buy. They look at it when it is not looking like it, and that's when they invest because they buy for the future. All right. Any average buyer would want to buy based on what he or she sees, but bearing in mind that we are looking at the psychology of buyers, it's going to gain. I'm just trying to know if my sound and my visuals are clear. It's going to help definitely. So look at how to navigate this particular point. Look out for growth indicators. I always will say that people have lost opportunities because they just felt here is far from town. And simple, they lost opportunity. All right. Don't just get carried away by current appearance, which a lot of people term as bush, far. Any far place or any bushy place will eventually become a city, whether we like it or not. So the earlier you invest in those locations rightly, the better you are at the position of investing smartly, especially for the future. Okay. So the next thing I'm going to talk about is people who buy right, or people who invest in real estate a lot, they buy because based on numbers, okay, not just how they feel. So they look at the numbers. What are the numbers here? I'm going to list out. They check the title of the land. So it's not just about like the first thing I mentioned, they buy for the future. You not gonna buy rubbish. No, please don't buy the wrong property because you are buying for the future. Don't buy properties without title. Don't buy properties that they don't have documentation. Don't buy properties because they just give you receipts and you take it and go. Kindly always buy properties that have genuine title, and also you find out who owns the property you're seeking to buy. Who is the owner of the property? Find out who it is. Most times, the people who sell properties are not the owners, and that is normal. But find out who is the rightful owner of the property you're seeking to buy. Then, what are the infrastructure around this property? All right. Sometimes it's government based infrastructure, the other times it is human based. Some developers go ahead to set out infrastructure to help the place appreciate in value. Sometimes they build the road all the way from the express to the estate so that people can get to start coming to the estate or to the location. And eventually, when people start trooping into the location in and out, that is how people will realize that, oh, there's this place I've noticed. I think there's is something good going on there. After the infrastructure, what are the demands? Most times, this demand case does not look like it initially, but eventually you see the things that will make people want to own something around the location. And the last one is, does it fit my financial goal? Does this property you are seeking out for fit your financial goal? And that brings us to the question, what is your financial goal? If you have a financial goal, there are certain measures, there are certain things you have to do to constantly meet it. For example, there are some fast or quick money that you are seeking. You're seeking for flip, flip. I want to put my money into something in 6 months, I'll take it. That's a financial goal. I want a situation where I put my money for the long term. I want my money to appreciate. That's a goal. So it's necessary that you have a goal. Sometimes people put their money in piggy first. People save their money in something to get return. That's a financial goal. But way beyond it, there's a point you get to in life, you realize that you can't sustain by that means. You have to build a solid structure, which real estate most of the time is one of it. Solid structure, solid processes so that it will stand the test of time. Most times we have money pass through our account and we can't account for it. We can't say, oh, we used it for something, but eventually money keeps passing. Today is the time for you to sit down and literally think, for any money that enters my account, a certain percentage should go to this. Remember that these are habits that you build over time. A lot of times people have had money and they can this happened to me personally till I started paying attention. Okay, so if you've grown without having direction to which the money will flow, a lot of things will take up the money. In fact, life is structured in such a way that things will take up the money. If it's not from family, it's from friends. It's not from friends. People will just literally take the money. So buy because of the numbers, and I've listed the numbers that should help you invest in the location, not because of pressure. The next thing to end this particular point is excitement should never replace due diligence. Excitement should never replace your due diligence. Due diligence still stands the test of time. If you're ever going to invest in a property, ensure you definitely do your due diligence. What is a due diligence? Due diligence simply means finding out, like I listed, the title this property comes with. If I pay now, what am I getting? Who is the developer? What is the plan for this? There's absolutely nothing wrong with doing that. So do it. Don't feel super excited that the price is good. In fact, price should be the last. Price is super good and you ignore doing your due diligence. Okay, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I appreciate, sir. The next thing we are going to talk about is think in decades, not just in months. That's a little bit of the first point, which is thinking about the future, not just about today. One of the major differences between an average buyer and a smart buyer is this. It is the average buyer thinks about months. Like I said, some people say, oh, in 12 months. But the smart buyer constantly thinks in decades. They want to understand, why am I buying this for? What problem would this property solve for me? Recently, I was talking to a senior member or so a senior member. He called me on my birthday and we were having a conversation, and he was trying to say, oh, I see what you do. I appreciate it. I understand the benefit of real estate because my mother actually bought a property for me when I was in secondary school. Guess where the mother bought property for him? In Asokoro. I couldn't, like, this is somebody way older than me. And the mother at the time bought a property for him in his name in Asokoro. I bet, in fact, when I asked for that question, I bet that place wasn't looking like it at that year. But the mother did. And today he's working on it, he's developing that property. It's super good. Sometimes parents buy properties in their children's name wisely. You plan it. Let's do this. I've experienced this a lot of times. In fact, a woman had bought property in the children, the six of them, in their names. Super great. Sometimes those properties can come in affordable, but over a period of time, it will appreciate. Okay, so the person you buy from also matters. It matters. Okay, so think long term when it's real estate. Sometimes people think real estate is how do I explain it? Quick, getting quick fast, getting rich fast. So quick schemes, quick I want to make money. No, that's not real estate. In fact, if you want to make great money that will last for you, it takes time, it's long term. The fourth point is diversifying your goal. Not every property serves the same purpose. Yes, not every property serves the same purpose. And I always talk about this. That's why whenever you reach out to me, I always want to gain clarity. Sometimes you may not even know, but when I converse with you, I'll get a clearer picture of what you are looking out for. And it helps a great deal. In fact, when I get a clarity on your goal, it solves a lot of problems. We don't have to go around going for inspection from one property to another to another. No, the goal is clear and it's easier to look for properties tailored for somebody. If I don't have it, I say I don't have it. Let's look for someone who has it. But if I have it, I say this is it. In fact, I'll tell you this property you reached out to me for. This is not what will suit you. This is not what you suits your goal based on what you've conversed, because I listen to what you say and what you don't say. All right. And that will help prefer solutions based on this, and this. This is what will suit you. Okay. So the properties are purchased to preserve wealth, right? That comes with luxury properties. Others are generated. Some properties are also other properties generate rental income. That is mid-end, when you buy a property and eventually you decide to build, or you buy an off-plan, complete it and put it out either for short-let apartment or Airbnb or for rent. People get to pay you monthly or yearly. Other properties you buy or available are for capital appreciation. That is where we see, oh, I buy, then I just want to flip. I want just to hedge my money against the inflation. And in the period of 5 years, I'll sell off and get my money and go. Nothing wrong with that also. Because some smart investors, like we're talking about, or smart buyers, when they do, bearing in mind that these are the things they do that stand them out. Investment, real estate investment is psychological and it's a game of numbers. I mean, it's not cheap, it's very affordable. So if you want to do it well and do it right, you absolutely need to strategize on how to do it. So I've listed out how people diversify their goals when it comes to property. So you see that different properties can serve different goals, but it's necessary that you know. If you don't know, you wouldn't know how. You just feel like, oh, this property is cheap, let's invest. This property is close to the road, let's buy. At the end of the day, you either feel pressure to pay for some things you're not ready to pay for, or you either something happens and you start regretting, if I known I wouldn't have bought this property. You see what happens when you eventually you buy right. Okay, so the important thing is that every purchase has a clear purpose. And the last thing I'll say on this is know why you are buying before you buy. The fifth point I'm talking about is people, smart buyers constantly learn. Smart buyers constantly learn. You don't get a point in real estate investment and you feel like you've known it all. Why? Because the world changes, the state changes, things are coming up that's affecting real estate platforms, infrastructure, all that. Sometimes you notice that the government is moving to a location because of a new development. So it is when you know, when you've understood that, oh, this is where the government is going, you pay attention and go there fast. So you have to constantly learn and grow. All right. And that is why I'm always here on my channel. I constantly give you information for you to understand about real estate investment. Why? Because I believe that when people learn and know more about real estate investment, they will buy better. All right. A lot of scams constantly happen every day. I mean, every day here in Nigeria. And it feels that people are not educating or teaching people about it. All right. Sometimes these deals can be super good to be true, too good to be true. You are excited. This is what I want to pay. And eventually, when you pay, it feels like silence. Nobody's talking to me again. All right. And it's not something I want to continue. So based on this educational content I always talk about and directing you on what to do, especially because I'm based in Abuja, I talk about Abuja real estate market. But sometimes I talk about real estate generally or Nigerian real estate market because some things still matter all around. But to the specifics, Abuja also stands out in some things. And I focus on that because here is my terrain. Okay, people, because they learn, smart buyers learn, like I said, that's the last point. They constantly learn because markets change, and like I said, the policies change and it affects real estate, and new locations can emerge. If you're not learning, if you're not knowing, some people would have gone far before you realize, oh, this is the new place, this is what is happening because of this. All right. And like I said, I do all that here. I always tell you, look at what the minister just said and look at what it means. Okay. So the earlier you subscribe to the channel or you follow me here, then you get more constantly on this on our Abuja real estate. That's why people knowledge often becomes one of the highest return investments you can make. An informed investor or an informed buyer makes better decisions. That's the summary of all I've said in this point. If you are informed, you make better decisions. You don't make rash. You don't make decisions because you don't know. Because you are informed, you make better decisions. I don't know if this thing can also happen to people maybe who what do I use now? There are other forms of investment. Hope we know that real estate is just one of it. So when it comes to other forms of investment, let me take for example gold, trading of gold. All right. There's a way you know. If you know, there's a difference between you knowing, oh, this is the real gold, apart from the machine doing telling you can decide or decipher that this is a real gold. Why? Because of practice, because you've constantly seen it, felt it, known the difference. So if someone brings a fake gold to tell you, oh, this is gold, because of use, because you've practiced and known long enough, you won't be deceived, right? That is what happens in real estate. So if you constantly listen, learn, know, if someone brings something that is fake to you, you will know. You will definitely know. And that is why I am here for you. Right. So what's the psychology? As I round up, what's the psychology of a smart buyer when it comes to real estate? The first thing is they don't follow the noise. They don't just follow the noise. They don't just rush because they feel like they are missing out. That's not the first point of duty. In fact, that time they would have bought. You know how people are rushing, oh, this is a great location. They had bought because they already follow the market. Another thing about the psychology of wealthy buyers is that they think long term, all right, and they ask better questions. Sometimes when see or meet people who constantly ask questions about something, I appreciate it because it means you are there. You want to know what is happening. Then you buy with purpose, and as you continue learning, the mindset constantly evolves, gets better, and you make the better or informed decision. If this conversation also made sense to you, the least you can do is just like the video, subscribe to the channel, follow me for more content like this. And most especially if you're seeking to buy a property here in Abuja, there's a number in the description. You can reach me on the number 070-315-73951, and I'll definitely guide you to invest in the this right property. Right. See you in my next live session, and do have a wonderful evening from here. Bye.